I need some more Crystal Pepsi. What's up, nerds?
I like to get shit.
About to get real sad boy hours up in here. I'm your boy Mike Dangerous.
I don't know.
And this is Talking Shots.
I like to get
Sword sheath, kiss the return of the blade and slice shade, getting paid until my silhouette fades. A mercenary, spit till every verse is scary stage, doing girlies dirties.
This episode might hit close to home for some. I know it does for me. Depression is something that to an extent we all go through at some point. Some more than others, but the point is it's a part of everybody's daily lives, whether it's yourself or somebody that you know. It's inevitable that depression and mental illness as a whole find its way into the media that we consume. This video by no means is meant to start any arguments about mental illness and media. That debate's been had for a while now, and this video really isn't about that. Catharsis is important. People like to see themselves in art. And they like to see that they're not alone in their feelings. Art that reflects this does well because of the basic notion that people long to relate to one another. Loneliness is the scariest feeling in the world, and art makes us feel less lonely, even if it's just for a moment. And that's why art is so crucial. It feeds the basic human need to feel like we're not alone. It's no secret that one of my favorite shows of all time is Neon Genesis Evangelion. Hell, I made a whole ass video about it. What makes Evangelion so great is that it isn't really a mecha anime. It's a deconstruction about human interaction. Shinji Ikari is somebody who has trouble getting close to other people, and for good reason. His father never really wanted anything to do with him and only used him as a pawn for his own agenda.
Same, dude.
So he isn't exactly trusting of other people, and anybody in those shoes can instantly relate. Asuka's another good example. She finds her entire value in her skills as an Eva pilot, and when those skills are questioned, she snaps. Once she lets her test results fall below that of her co-pilots, she loses all sense of who she is. I can imagine that's something easy to relate to. I went through something like that recently. I can imagine this is especially relevant to athletes. Athletes place their entire career on their ability to perform. If all of a sudden they lost that to an injury, it's almost as if their entire identity is gone. Imagine having no one to go to after that. Imagine your skills were all that you had. I'm sure there are plenty of you out there who are scared of something like that, because I know I am.
Let me not be a weeb for a second and talk about a movie with 3D people and junk.
No, I know. Silver Linings Playbook doesn't exactly have a great rep because it's not a 100% representation of mental disorders. Again, not exactly the can of worms I'm trying to open up here. The bottom line, especially in Western media, will always be make a good movie first. One that will appeal to the broadest audience possible. And I feel as if writers and directors are getting better and better at this. Like for one, it shows a family unit at its breaking point. You know why it's so difficult to watch? Because in a way, it's very real. Family is a tricky thing, speaking from experience. Not every family is perfect. At what point does the phrase, "I'll love you no matter what," have its end? We are all individuals with our own wants, needs, and goals, and sometimes that gets in the way of our family's expectations for us. These expectations carry over to every relationship in our lives. People just aren't always going to align with that picture we have of them, and that's the point of this movie. Learning how to truly let things be as they are, while acknowledging the feelings that we have. The molding of a relationship is something that this wild robot cartoon from Japan and this Jennifer Lawrence movie have in common. They both depict depression and really any kind of reaction to trauma, and they both tell a story that's genuine. I get the sense that the writers of Silver Linings and definitely Evangelion wrote from a very real place, one that they saw themselves in. I feel like to a degree, we all see ourselves in what we create. To an extent, art is something we create to relate to those around us. And the art that we consume, the things that we're a fan of, are really just us. The audience relating to the artist and thus relating to each other. Depression and mental illness are very real things. And the more content, especially content that's been prevalent in recent years, content that brings us to light, the more people will buy into it. Some of the most popular anime, Western cartoons, movies, books, music, whatever, are pieces that delve into characters in... Is delve a word? Dwelve? What's the word? Are pieces that delve into characters, attitudes, and feelings that are, to some extent, extensions of the artist and audiences that make them. So what do you think? I know this episode wasn't as funny as most others, but it's one that I've been meaning to make for a long time now. The point of Talking Shots has always been to start conversations and to relate to you guys on more than just a this is what it is type of attitude, I guess. So what do you think? What plays, movies, books, albums made you feel like you weren't alone? I want to know. I want to hear from you guys. I'm Mike Dangerous, and this is Talking Shots.